Who wouldn't want good quality water piping? How to achieve this can be seen from this movie. But first, some information about specific building, water sources and water pressure available, connection of fittings and methods of water heating. At present, because of its special properties, plastic piping is increasingly used. Unlike metal piping, it doesn't rust, doesn't become encrusted with mineral deposits, and with proper use can last up to 50 years. One great advantage is that plastics aren't sensitive to the pH of the water they carry. Such pipes make less noise when water is flowing, and there is less pressure loss. They can also operate at higher water current speeds, which also means a smaller cross-section can be used. All this makes plastic the dominant plumbing material, and if this is the one you choose, it's important to choose a reputable producer which produces a complete range in the required sizes at a reasonable price, of good quality, and with backup service. The Ekoplastik system, thanks to its comprehensive range of individual components, is suitable for a wide range of uses. Pipes and fittings are made from polypropylene and produced in accordance with international standards. The pipes come in 3 series, each with a different wall thickness. Fittings are only produced in the highest series, S2.5. Generally, the higher wall thickness, the higher temperature and pressure can be used for the pipe's 50-year projected lifetime. The basic rules associated with installation are given in the assembly regulation. Keeping to these rules is essential for the correct functioning of the plumbing and validity of the materials guarantee. Every plumber should have the installation manual to hand. Before designing and installing individual parts of the water system, one should be aware of a few basic principles with regard to expansion and contraction due to temperature, possible methods of connection, types of pipe support, and necessary insulation. We will speak more about each of these individual points. Internal water plumbing should be as short and direct as possible. Exceptions to this rule are allowances for expansion. Expansion and contraction due to temperature is greater with plastic than with traditional materials, and it is necessary to take this into account in the design and installation. In specific cases, the size and type of compensator for change in pipe length can be calculated or determined with the aid of a graph. Joining of plastic plumbing parts is carried out using polyfusion welding or electrowelding. The procedures for welding are given in another instructional film. A properly executed join is firmer than the pipe itself. It's fast, safe and reliable for the full life of the plumbing. Joining to threaded metal pipes is carried out using an adapter with a pressed galvanized brass thread. Sealing threaded joints is either with a Teflon tape or in some cases a sealing compound. For tightening threaded joints, a special spanner with a tape is used if the metal part of the adapter is not fitted with a polygonal ring. Because plastic piping is not as stiff as metal pipes, the supports have to be closer together. With increasing water temperature and lower pipe diameters, the interval between the supports decreases. Pipes with a higher pressure rating, however, allow a greater distance between supports. For supporting piping, so-called sliding brackets are used. These allow for greater expansion changes. A typical example is a bracket in a plastic sleeve in an insulated metal sleeve in a loose trough or on a bracket. With regard to the change in length, in some places, instead of a sliding holder, a fixed point is used. For example, a fixed point may be anchored using 2 shaped pieces and a sleeve. A fixed point may also be created in a place where there is movement of the pipe, at bends or at a water meter or fitting. We must not forget, though, that there must always be some allowance for expansion between fixed points. pipe systems should be insulated throughout their length. Insulation is carried out after a successful pressure test. Cold water pipes are insulated against condensation and hot pipes against heat losses. The most commonly used type of insulation is slit polythene foam tubing. This can be fitted around the pipe or cut to fit round welded sections and joints. The recommended thickness of insulation is given for all sections of the water system on the basis of evaluated heat gains and losses. "70% of plumbing in the Czech Republic is plastic. It is used in new and renovated buildings, as well as historic and modern premises. A properly prepared plan is very important before installation can begin. To assist planning, we offer our own calculating software, programs Install San, Install Therm, and Install Energy. Implementation begins with transporting the components to the site and their storage. It is necessary to load and transport pipes and fittings carefully. Pipes must not be dragged along the ground or the load deck of the lorry, and the product must not be thrown or dropped on the ground. At the site, it must be stored in a reserved place, protected from wind and mechanical damage. Components are packed in a protective wrapping that should not be removed until they are ready to be used. Contaminated components are undesirable and dangerous. The wrappings are made from polythene and are recyclable. An ambient temperature of at least 5 degrees Celsius is necessary when mounting plastic plumbing with regard to the material and optimal welding conditions. It is necessary to examine all components before use for any signs of damage during transporting or storage. It is also suitable to check the functioning of closing fittings and at the same time that the cutters work properly. Now we can start by cutting the piping, which is delivered in straight pieces on a roll to the required lengths. It is then necessary to prepare the Teflon tape or sealing compound, cotton cloth for cleaning components, degreasing preparation, and welding machine, which has to be heated to the working temperature. Internal water piping systems are divided into 3 parts: horizontals, risers, and joining pipes. Joining and rising pipes are fed through loose brackets or installation partitions. Running pipes, particularly hot water pipes along the walls, is not suitable for aesthetic reasons and with regard to expansion. Horizontal pipes are often run along the ceiling or hidden from sight. Tracks must be big enough for the pipes, including insulation, to sit freely. Tracks should be cleaned first to avoid any mechanical damage to pipes and insulation during fitting and operation. According to the plan, we measure and mark the position for the fittings. Secure the pipe or the pipe and insulation onto the clip. Where pipes join, the simplest solution to expansion is to change the pipe route. Protect the flexible pipe material along its path from mechanical damage during expansion. Where joining pipes end at a discharge fitting, an independently wall-mounted elbow can be used, or a universal wall unit which can be adapted to a 100mm or 150mm tap unit. An independently wall-mounted elbow is mounted on a fixed support which keeps the shaped piece firmly in the same position. Where a pipe joins to the riser pipe, it is necessary to consider the expansion of both parts. Lead-off pipes from 2 parallel risers are executed using a special crossover shape. Riser pipes are most often run along a free track or in an installation shaft. The pipe must be secured along its route. The distance between mounting clips is determined by the temperature of the water, diameter of the pipe, pressure rating, and with regard to the vertical placement of the pipes. Expansion is most often catered for using an expansion loop. After mounting the loop, the securing tape is removed. Even for riser pipes in an installation shaft, it is possible to use a U-shaped expansion bend. If an expansion loop is used for riser pipes in a track, we must cut a pocket which we fill with flexible material in order to leave the pipe room to move after it has been covered over with cement. The same applies when using a U-shaped expansion bend. Horizontal pipes are best run along a galvanized supporting trough. It increases the firmness of the pipe system and allows for greater distance between supports. The pipes and trough are insulated and fitted into a sleeve. This type of installation looks very pleasing. Fittings which are mounted on the piping system must be properly supported so that their weight isn't borne by the pipes. After completing the water distribution system, before insulating and plastering over, a pressure test should be carried out. Details of the test procedure are given in the assembly instructions. The results are written into a protocol which is designed by the supplier and the investor. At the same time, an inspection is carried out to check that the system conforms with the design norms, regulations and conditions stated in the building permission. That just leaves the new plumbing to be connected to the water source and put into use. This technical approach applies not only for installing plastic plumbing in new buildings, but also for building reconstruction, and when changing plumbing at the end of its usable life. Reconstruction does of course have its own specific points. The first step is to dismantle the existing plumbing, particularly when changing plumbing in a building which is in use. It is very important to reduce the time without water to a minimum. In this respect, plastic plumbing is unique, and every investor will appreciate the speed at which it can be assembled. After dismantling the existing plumbing, it is possible to install plastic piping in a third of the time it would take with the galvanized steel. Another great advantage besides speed is that installation of plastic plumbing is clean and causes minimum disturbance in the normal running of the building. When installing new plastic piping into an existing space, the material's flexibility is also an advantage. During reconstruction, it is usual to gradually replace individual riser pipes. One by one, all the riser pipes are replaced and provisionally joined to the existing horizontal pipes. For this temporary connection during construction, adapters with plastic threads are sufficient. After the riser pipes, it is necessary to change the horizontal pipes. Again, of course, we start with dismantling the existing plumbing, which, just as the galvanized steel piping, is suffering from incrustation and even more corrosion. Use of plastic plumbing banishes these unpleasant effects for good. Changing old for new, non-functional for reliable, traditional for products more friendly to the environment. Simple, practical, and at a reasonable price. Water distributions from Wavin Ekoplastik.